Hi, welcome to a Nowak Society community chat. My name is Dylan and I'm with the Nowak Society. The mission of the Nowak Society is to refine our relationships to drugs and medicines, and we're working to create a paradigm that promotes a healthy relationship with those same drugs and medicines in our communities at large. We're figuring that one of the best ways to refine that relationship is to hear stories, hear about people like you and me, and how they learned about drugs as kids, how that relationship developed over time, where they stand now, and what they see as a healthy and unhealthy relationship. So to that end, joining me tonight to share his story, I have Stephen Thomas. Hi, Stephen.
Hey, Dylan.
He's a board member with the Nowak Society. He's also a social worker and psychotherapist. He facilitates trainings in ketamine-assisted psychotherapy with trhe, also known as the Psychedelic Research and Training Institute. And he's here to share some of his experience. So, Stephen, I wonder, like all good stories, where does it start? What's the beginning? How did you learn about drugs? What do you think your first exposures to like drugs and drug culture were as a kid?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Let's see. You know, I think for me, it just starts when I think back that I was just kind of a weird kid. And I was always just really curious. I didn't really feel like I fit in, you know, in middle school. And so I think there was some seeds of it planted there of just trying to find my way, trying to find my identity, and feeling kind of like an outsider, you know, like hanging out with the freaky kids. And,
Sure.
And through that curiosity, I guess I stumbled on William Burroughs when I was probably too young to stumble on that.
Happens sometimes.
It does. And I found my way to his book, Naked Lunch.
Weird one.
And super weird, right? Super edgy. And it just felt like fascinating, you know. I was like, there is this, like that kind of the subcultural elements. And so for folks that aren't familiar with him, he was one of the beat writers and notoriously addicted to heroin, and actually went to Colombia in the 50s, I think, and to kind of, because he heard about yahe, which is actually also known as ayahuasca. He heard that this could be some cure for his addiction.
Sure.
And so he's got this amazing kind of connection to drugs and medicines. And so I didn't know about all of that at the time, but I read his book, Naked Lunch, and it kind of opened up this world to me of wow, there's like this really weird, trippy, interesting world out there with drugs, which kind of ran counter to, you know, the just say no, dare propaganda programming that I'd been exposed to before.
So it sounds like as a young kid, there was more like a relationship that was kind of anywhere between like neutral to curious. There wasn't necessarily a lot of fear or a lot of demonization for you. Yeah,
not so much for me. I think there was some healthy young fear of like all kinds of things in the adult world.
The world's intense.
right. But I wasn't like terrified of drugs. I didn't have to undo that so much, you know. My parents didn't really load that on me either. I think when I was exposed to like the dare kind of stuff in school, it didn't like, it was weird for that day. And then I just kind of put it out of my mind, you know.
Makes sense.
Didn't ever have any encounters with like family members that were addicted to anything. So I didn't have like a negative connotation there. So I was open.
So where did the experience lead you? Feeling kind of open, feeling kind of curious? How did it progress from there? What are maybe some significant moments along the path?
See, from there, so I was like really into the beats and Kerouac and Ginsberg and the literature. And then that led me to the hippie, like kind of the lore of the early 60s hippie world. And there's some interesting connections between the beats and the kind of the proto hippies through Ken Kesey, who wrote One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and then is immortalized in Tom Wolfe's book, The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test, which I read in probably my sophomore year of high school and was like, holy shit, this is amazing. I want to be in the 60s. I want to experience this counterculture, this spirit of discovery and fun and adventure and opening your mind through drugs. And so I did. I just naturally gravitated to those people in my school that were actually really incredible, curious, creative people on the same kind of early path as myself, like just turning on. And so I got exposed to mushrooms and LSD while I was still in high school. And it was just, very expansive for me.
And I wonder if you could share, see if this makes sense, kind of like what you were making of these drugs while you were in high school. Were they like incredible? Were they terrifying? Like how would you describe the relationship?
I would say a little of both. A little of both. This is fun because I'm going totally out of the closet with everything.
Sure, yeah.
But I remember one of the first times I took LSD, I took it by myself in my parents' house at like age 16, up in this little loft room that we had. And I took a very low dose. It was a little perceptual, but it wasn't anything visionary. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I played it safe that way.
Sure.
But I stayed up all night talking to my friend on the phone, and we were both watching the same TV show, so we could kind of feel connected. He took a dose as well. I mean, till like 6 a.m. I'm on the like, the wired,
Sure.
the wired phone in the house. That phone, right?
Mechanical voice in your ear.
The phone that mom could pick up, which she did at like 7 a.m. She picked up the phone and was like, I don't know how she needed to pick up the phone, but like suddenly my mom's voice is on the phone. It's like, Steven, who are you talking to? Like, I'm talking to my friend. Nothing bad happened, but there was fear because I didn't have anyone to turn to about this stuff. And I hadn't slept. So I felt I still had the medicine running through me all day long. And, they're still getting trails. And I was like, when is this going to end? There was a fear there of like, oh no, I'm permanently like this. I've done some damage. My friends were like, drink some milk. Like, okay.
Save yourself.
Drink some milk. Apparently that does something. But anyway, like those early, the early years of experimenting as a kid, they had excitement and curiosity and also some trepidation and anxiety because you just don't know. The internet wasn't, I didn't know where to find information. So we were just like tentative explorers, I would say.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and it's something that we can take for granted, especially these days. But I think that does lend to the sense of like danger or struggle, like just lack of information, not knowing what you're getting into or what's going on, what's safe, what's not. Like that can be such a big piece.
Totally. Yeah. I could also throw in that, like, as I segued out of, basically as I left high school, I started to explore the rave scene and got turned on to MDMA, and that was like a love affair, that changed my life in a profound way.
Can you say a little bit more? Like what do you see or think of as the profound changes?
I mean, MDMA is just such a beautiful medicine. It's so heart opening. And I had always felt really awkward. Didn't really felt like I fit in. It really struggled with social anxiety. And there were some really pivotal moments, a couple of them in the rave scene where early on, where I really connected with the collective, with the group of people that were there, with the music. And I just knew I was home. I was like, this is home. I can be myself here. I'm not going to be judged. I learned how to move my body to music, and that is now my greatest passion. And I'm a lifer. It's like 20 years strong of like electronic music and MDMA is like this beautiful partnership. And it's spiritual for me, Yeah,
it sounds like it really brought you to that sense of belonging, which was like kind of a struggle early on and like is so
Yes.
healing.
Yeah. Just feeling okay in my skin, you know,
Mm,
and feeling like I could express myself without fear of judgment. Um,
mm. So, you know, coming from a place of, sounds like, you know, not having a lot of input really, just like not much awareness around drugs, a little bit of like the dare thing, which was just strange, but really being more curious and more of an explorer and kind of having to do that in a hands-on way, just because there really wasn't that much information out there as you were coming up in the world and having these experiences. In terms of where you sit now, what do you make of all of it? Like, what do you think might be or could be an ideal relationship between drugs and community?
it's a good question. There's a lot I could say about that.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah, it's really big. I mean, I have kind of continued on this path, and it has been like a North Star for me, as I've tried to navigate a world that seems kind of soul deadening in a lot of ways and wrong,
Mm,
and kind of shut off from these other ways of being and knowing, that I know are so vital and that are kind of Western, you know, material reductionist way of operating just excludes, right? So I always knew that that sparkle and that magic and that just, you know, the transpersonal, like the ecstatic realm is so important. So what I see happening through like the rave scene and, you know, people exploring like medicines like ayahuasca, which I have a lot of experience with, is and Burning Man, you know, are these ways of uniting or bringing back these experiences into our culture. Speaking as an American Westerner, like our culture, right?
yeah.
That have been at the seat and the center of indigenous and ancient cultures probably throughout history,
Mm,
and before history, right? So um, I think that that's really vital, and I can see in my worldview kind of speaks to there's like a core, something missing, you know, that's like that's like at the core of the wrongness kind of that we see. And for me, it's like bringing back these experiences that are collectively held and shared, of something bigger than ourselves, of visionary realms, you know, of spirituality that's experienced and not just, you know, rote or delivered from a priest or something, you know, like it's the
it's
having the experience
lived.
yourself. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we get. Like, that's why people go to these raves and Burning Man, you know, that I think that's one of the reasons that really brings people together in that way and makes it so potent is, wow, there's so much more than what we're told and that what day-to-day life provides us, you know, generally speaking. So I guess where I see it going is in healing, in healing ourselves together in community, in healing ourselves individually, spiritually, both and you know, that's why I'm drawn to, that's why I'm working towards like being a psychedelic therapist, hoping to get started doing ketamine assisted therapy soon. And that's, you know, I'm a social worker, but I went back to school for that. I wanted to be involved, you know. I've actually turned on to maps when I was 16. I came across a maps bulletin at Barnes and Noble and there was an Alex
Wow.
Gray image on the cover, and I was like, holy shit, there's like serious adults talking about this through the lens of science. And lo and behold, maps has just become this powerhouse, you know. They make that, it was early on then, you know, this was like late 90s. And fast forward to now, I saw that, I followed them and saw that that wave cresting, and like, I have to get involved in this, because I think it has not just the maps model, not just the medical model, but just what's that's one piece of what I think is coming, is just this remembering, right? Reconnecting of these facets to life and to healing that have been shut off from us.
Yeah. Yeah, reconnecting to that kind of fundamental belonging through ecstatic experience. Well, thank you very much, Stephen. It's been great to hear your story. It's been great to hear some about how that whole evolution has looked like for you. Anything else you want to say in parting before we leave?
Oh man, this was awesome. This was some fun. Yeah, thank you for giving me some space to share. I guess I would just say, let's keep creating this new reality, this new paradigm. It's necessary. It's so deeply meaningful, and I think the world needs it. I think it's not the only way to a better world, but it encompasses and embodies so much that our world needs. And so I'm just eager and excited to be a part of things like Nowak and, just the larger communities that are forming. So let's keep going.
Yeah, love it. Certainly need a shift. I think anyone can look around and say things aren't working that great.
Right.
Well, thank you very much. Again, this has been a Nowak Society community chat. If you want to see more of these and hear more people's stories, feel free to check us out on Facebook, go to our website, nowaksociety.org, and hope to see you in the future. Get involved. Let's keep talking.